Oh yeah. My brain lagged a bit because I thought I removed that because okay, so normally this guy does not have dialogue after the elevator's back online. Even though the elevator's back online, he just says we can't do anything until the elevator's back up, and I'm like, it's on, and that annoyed me so much. This was actually the very first character I added new dialogue for because it annoyed me that much, and I thought I removed it because I could not figure out a way to make dialogue that didn't feel like unnatural. But apparently I refigured it out because I do remember his dialogue having been different, but apparently I did change it. I believe in my Gaius analysis, I wrote a theory at the end, near the end of one of the parts, that I theorized that it was Gaius who wrote this because the only characters who are aware of Zafkiel's BS are the Dream Cat, which is Abram. Like, I'm not going to like beat around the bush with that, and the judge. I don't know if also in my analysis I do like mention that I don't know if Gaius is actually aware of the truth or like suspects Zafkiel or not. But I do like argue like it can't be Vani because we know how he writes. I think it was his writing, or at least one of the rebellion members in the residential district with notes about detailing each of the guardians and Abram. And we know how the rebellion members write, like that one note about in the bunker in the entertainment district. And it can't have been Roland because we do see later how he writes, and it definitely couldn't have been him. So. And obviously it couldn't have been the judge because he's a cat. He can't write. And the Dream Cat is a somnolent being. He is not corporeal. So it couldn't have been the Dream Cat or Abram, especially because Abram is stuck in the tower. And I feel like the only person that would, like in the context of the story, that could have wrote that is Gaius. Because again, that's literally the only child that has something different. thing is that depend. So some people do get this wrong. I have seen this where people say that the type of meat you give Jericho determines how strong he is, which is correct, but it's not like raw strength. It determines the competences he has when you use him in battle. I think it's still here as well as I mostly know this for the prison, where if you give him palladium meat, he gets his full set of competences, but if you give him anything less, and he won't be able to have everything unlocked. This is not the case for a certain area, where because Jericho that you use there is a different actor than the one here and in the prison, and there he has his full moveset by default. Also, if you don't have meat to give him, you end up soft locked because there's no the devs did not expect you to just get here without meat, and then like the game tries very hard to prevent this. Like the bow rolls and I think the bovine assimilators in the slaughterhouse give meat, and then there's the chest that gives 2 pieces of palladium meat in the mines. There's literally no reason why you wouldn't have any meat to give Jericho at all. The only reason this happened is again in J-Bone's Can You Beat Sincere Deceit without using competences, and he sold all of his meat because the meat restores competence, so there's no point in using them. Kind of like for the same reason why in hard mode run you sell your jokers and jacks, queens, kings, whatnot, because they're useless when you only have the batter. But if you don't have any meat to give Jericho, the bridge does not go back up, which means you get soft locked. And depending on what your previous saves were, if you do not have a save prior to getting in the boat, you could actually completely end up soft locked, and you have to start all over because you won't have any. Because if you use up all your meat, so you can't use it, or so if you use all your meat, then even if you're not doing a no competence run, if you use all the meat you have in your inventory and you don't have those chests, that one chest in the mines to get the meat from, you will end up soft locked. But that type of soft lock is so niche that you literally have to be going very out of your way to trigger. So it's not the dev's fault for not foreseeing that, because that's on you. I changed the depth of this machine and some other machines because some of them are they're again cardboard in the back, and especially because there's these lines in the back. Except that in base and seriously you can pass behind the machine through here, and I'm like, what is the point of these lines here if you can pass behind it through here? These are supposed to be markers for how big the machine is. Why? So I changed that because, oh my gosh, that's the #1 pet peeve I have with this. don't understand the point of this room. I think it's just to make the factory look, you know, more organic, which is ironic to say, but, you know, make it seem like it's an actual building and not like just video game. So, these block jumping, him jumping over the blocks, this, okay, so, when he does this, his movement route, he is set to go through the wall. He has through specifically, like, he has through specified, which means that the devs were aware that this could happen. And I believe the reason for this is that having to, like, make, like, different movement routes for every possible direction you could look at, the correct cube to jump through these blocks, is too much of a pain, especially because, like, I looked at the conditional branch nesting for this, because I was trying to see if I could do that, like, if he's I'm gonna have to no clip, but if he's facing this way, that he sees the block, he's like, oh, Jericho can't jump through this area, so he would have a move route to go here and then jump, so you don't, because the alternative for the devs would be if he was here, instead of having through, he would just say Jericho can't jump through here, and that calls attention to the problem, and that would cause some people to probably think, then why can't you just have the move route so where he can be in the and jump through correctly. But the thing is that, like, RPG Maker is a pain because code with, especially because, like, you can't, like, click and drag parts of the code into correct areas. You have to get everything in the exact correct order all in one go. You cannot drag. If you want to fix something, you're gonna like, if it's a conditional branch thing, you can't, like, delete specifically the conditional branch tag. You have to, if you want to move something from a conditional branch into a different area, you are going to have to, like, cut out the commands and then paste them correctly. You can't just drag them, because if you try to delete the conditional branch itself, it would delete everything that's inside it. And like, I didn't want to try messing with this, because especially because, like, you have to know, like, have an idea of how the move routes work, or else if Jericho gets stuck, then it can end up soft locking you. Well, not soft lock, but probably end up hard locking, where you can't even like open the menu. Because I did try this in a certain area where Jericho and the batter switch places, and I tried, because like when you do that, when you stand to the side of Jericho with as the batter and you interact with Jericho, the batter is scripted to move up and has through enabled, and he ends up like clipping into a door, and it just doesn't look right. So I tried to see if I could fix it, because it's like really simple. It looks really simple, and I could not figure it out, and I ended up hard locking as a result. So I just like, nope, not doing that. So the very fact that Jericho has through enabled to just jump through the wall goes to show that the devs are aware of how complicated this nesting is, and don't want to have to like, and also didn't want to like call attention to the problem. So they just had it like have through enabled. It doesn't call attention to it. If it's good enough for fieldwork, it's good enough for me. Because I did see someone say that this was not tested. The very fact that through is enabled for this proves that it is. They're aware of how complicated this is, and they were just like, no. And I saw that, I was like, oh, maybe I could fix it. And I saw that, I was just like, no. What? Excuse you? Also, because the Torch Spectres are specifically programmed to only transform if they're into fervent specters if faced on the batter's turns, which again, I don't know why that Torch Spectre turned into a fervent specter. You can take as long as you want in this battle with Jericho, and they'll never transform. This does end up causing things like say, if you want to make a mod where you play as Jericho from the very beginning of the game, you'll have to end up messing with how the cages work, because the cages, again, the battle ending is done based on the batter's turns, which means you're gonna have to like change it to based on Jericho, and specifically this Jericho, where was it his nickname or his class? As soon as I kill this thing. Specifically, the Jericho that has the nickname for Ghoul, not the nickname for Brother. The nickname for Brother is a different actor. You can have Jericho fight these specters, but oh, no you can't. I actually never went up there. I mean, you probably technically can with the because they move around at random, so it may be possible for them to get like down here, and then you can just press the interact key while they're down there with Jericho, because that's how you can fight some of these specters while the screen's red like this. But it's in the other area you actually do have more free ability. You have a greater ability to use Jericho to fight enemies, but there's no point because like the prison. There's no point until the prison, and the Jericho's level, the level that Jericho is at in the prison is based on what level you're at. The battery is at. What level the battery is at when you enter the prison, as well as his stats. Which means, like, if you do a whole bunch of sleeping at the end before you enter the prison, Jericho will be very strong. Now, that does not mean that you will not struggle using Jericho and severely weakened battery in the prison. It just means that you'll have a much easier time. Also, there's well, it was I forgot to do this in the entertainment district, but this let's see, where is it? Okay, yes, all of this is actually done in the same room. This is all the same map. And note, if you try to note click, have Battery read those posters, it's not going to do anything because the game does not have it specified that he interacts with them, because you're never supposed to go up there with the batter. So if you try to do it, it'll act as if it's Jericho reading it. This conveyor belt, if you step on it, the batter will actually go all the way up there, but you'll get a non-standard game over. It will instantly kill you. Also, the reason I'm avoiding these battles is because some of them, except for like I think one of the gear specters down there, and then that torch specter here, are not the most optimal to fight, because they're not three battles of 3, and also the torch and gear specters are the easiest to just like fight in like one behind the other. They're really quick to kill. Jericho clips through the wall here. I don't think there's anything that can be done about that, because like he's just so long. This area here, oh no. Again, he's too long. This area here had layering priority issues, where you could literally like walk into the this wall here, and again, part of the batter would be half in, half out. And the only reason I noticed this, I knew this was here, was because a torch specter went through here, and I saw them clipping, and I was like, what on earth? This is the best area to grind because it's just one screen transition, and then you can go right into the battle again.